watching Clarified TV, the only place to be to learn to cook and eat sustainably in the city. Today we're here to talk about how to cook dry beans and lentils. So let's dive right in. Now when you're cooking dry beans, you have two options that you can take. Option one, you can let them soak overnight, or option two, you can speed up the process and allow them to steep in a hot liquid for an hour. So let's talk about process number one. The first process, how you'll go about this, is using a ratio of 3 parts liquid to 1 part dry beans. So say for instance, we have 1 cup of dry beans and 3 cups of water. We'll add the water and the beans into a container and let that sit overnight. And then the next day, we'll add some salt into it, put it into a pot, and bring it to a boil. Then let it simmer until they're cooked all the way through. Now this sometimes can take 45 minutes to an hour, and maybe an hour and a half. It really depends on how old the beans are and just how long they take to cook. So you never really know, honestly. The other option, option two for cooking these beans, is that you're able to cook them the day of. And I normally do this because I never really plan ahead when I'm cooking beans. So how I go about doing this is you take the same ratio. So if we have 1 cup of beans, we got 3 cups of liquid, and we're gonna add the salt all into a pot all together and bring that to a boil. Now we're gonna shut the heat off once it comes to a boil and put a lid on it. And then we're gonna let it sit for an hour. Now after that hour, we'll turn it on like normally, turn it to medium heat and let them cook until they're cooked all the way through. For lentils, I like to keep it simple and cook them just like pasta. So these are my cooked lentils. This is what they look like when they're uncooked. I just boil some water, throw some salt in there, add my lentils in, and then once they're cooked all the way through, if there's any liquid left, I just strain off the liquid. Now you can add that liquid and save it into soups, or if you're making a soup with lentils, you can just use that as your stock or your water. That's a great way to do that as well. So that's how I go about making lentils. There's no science into it. Now I'm sure you're wondering, well, how the heck do I know when they're done, Amanda? Well, come in, I'll show you. All right, so this is how you can tell if your beans are ready. So I'm gonna dry my hands off here. Now you can see the beans are still intact, which is what you want when you're cooking dry beans. You don't want all that mushy stuff. So you got whole beans, but then also when you take the beans and you're going to taste them, you can either do this both by hand or by when you taste them, you wanna be able to press down on the bean and the inside is tender. So again, you've got whole dry beans. You cook them. They're still whole when you're done. They're not mushy. But then to test when they're done, you want to make sure that they're whole on the outside and you can easily press them, and that's how you know they're tender on the inside. Now if these beans are not ready yet, they are going to be very hard on the inside, and you'll know if you press them with your hands or if you go to bite into them. All right, let me wipe my hand off here. Now for lentils, I'll show you what they look like dry. These are dried lentils, and they're beautiful. These are French green lentils. They're in our capsule for our Midwest Spring Field Guide. They're just really beautiful dry. Now when you cook them, they do mash up a little bit more. But this is how you'll know they're done. Pretty much similar style to the beans. You can see there's a few of them that have fallen apart, but most of them are still intact. And then if I go to take one of these, same thing, you're gonna want to press it down, kind of like a cooked spring pea. So if you think about peas when you cook them and you can easily press them down, this is exactly what you're looking for when you're cooking beans and when you're cooking lentils. I love these because they have a great peppery flavor, and I added no pepper, just a little bit of salt. And that's how lentils look when they're cooked. So I want to know, have you cooked with dried beans or lentils before? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're looking for even more sustainable tips, head on over to baguetteandbutter.com and join our City Dweller gang. When you do, you'll get instant access to our ebook, 5 items to quit purchasing and packaging now. Thanks for hanging out. And remember, you can go out on the town without leaving a trail. I'll see you guys soon.